All right, we are live. Welcome to Authentic Influence. This is Anthony Chancemuth here from Simple Creative Marketing, and I have with me Gert Mellak from SEOleverage.com. And Gert is I'm just going to call him the expert at SEO in the room right now because I'm not the expert, but he specializes in search engine optimization and paid search marketing as well on Google, helping online businesses like mine and others to get more qualified leads and sales from search engines. Okay, we'll talk about Google, but there are other search engines out there, and I'm sure I might ask a question about that in a moment to Gert. So welcome to the show, Gert.
Hi, Anthony. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to see this group growing and creating very interesting pieces of content. So there's a lot of things going on in this group. I'm happy to contribute from an SEO point of view.
Fantastic. Now, I'm just going to do a quick thing, and I'm going to share my Facebook Live. I know we've got some people on. So if you're watching, can I ask all of you, just hit share and share it to wherever, your page or to your personal profile, and ask some other people to join in, because that's how we get this really good content that Gert's going to share with us to more people, right? The goal here is to help a lot of people, particularly online business owners. Now, my challenge is actually finding the thread. Where is the bloody thread? Here it is. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. And look, as I'm doing that, I can see another question coming up already. And I'm just going to share that and say, we are live. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I will flip this now over to Gert. We're going to bring up your screen, Gert, and then we'll have you start with a presentation, and it's run us through. The topic of the day is how do we improve our content and structure it so that we can get it ranking on the first page of Google. Okay. Now, if you are live on the call, I can see there are people joining us right now. Please say hello in the chat and let us know where you're dialing in from, because there's people probably we have a global audience, which I really like. And Gert, where are you? Just so people
I'm based
know.
in Madrid, in Spain.
There we go. Gert's in Madrid. I'm in Sydney. We're making it happen. Okay. You want to bring up your screen, and I'll flip it over to you now.
Okay.
And if you guys, while Gert is doing it, if you have any questions for him, please throw that into the chat. And then we'll come back, circle back at the end, and we'll ask some questions, get them answered for you. Okay, here we go.
Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can. We've got Serkan saying good morning from Cologne in Germany. Is that how you say it? I don't know how to say it.
Köln.
Köln. Okay.
Hallo, schöne Grüße nach Köln.
Oh, there you go. Wie geht's?
So cool. Yeah. Thanks again for having me. The topic is content that ranks on page 1. We are going to make this as practical as it gets. I just want to give like a very quick SEO theoretic intro, so we know what we're talking about, and then we're going to jump into a couple of tools and see how we can line up content that has a chance to really rank high on Google. Okay, so quickly, my name is Gert Mellak. I'm originally from Austria, now based in Spain. I've been doing SEO on and off for 19 years, a little bit more, a little bit less. I did paid ads. Right now, we're really focused on SEO and Google ads these days, so search marketing on Google mostly. And I spent my time really with SEO consulting calls, site audits, and finding out why Google or other search engines do what they do. I sometimes get like some interesting requests here. First of all, I want to mainly make sure we know why we should bother about search engine optimization. The average internet user performs 3 to 4 searches per day. This means 2 trillion searches per year on Google. And an important thing to know, to understand is that in SEO, we very often refer to search volume. And this is really the amount of times a keyword, a key phrase is searched on Google. Why is this important? It's important because it allows us to calculate or estimate the potential a certain ranking for a certain search term might have. So it's a difference if I rank for a term that's being searched for 10 times a month, or if it's a term that's being searched for 1 million times a month or 50,000 times a month. Okay, so this is just in order to estimate what's the potential if for me, for my business, if I rank on page 1 for a certain search term. Search has a very special happens in a very special moment. And I very often contrast this to social media, social ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever you want to do in terms of ads can work very well. But it's a very different scenario. It's a scenario where I'm in line at Starbucks and checking my phone and I see your ad, and I might or might not engage with this and or send it to my email for later if it's so interesting, or save it. I never got back to my saved posts on Facebook. I sometimes save them, but I never go back to them. Whereas when we go to Google search, we usually have a moment in order to consume whatever we find. Okay, so this is where I really pay attention. This is why I might sit down on my iPad, on my phone, on my computer and say, okay, I now want to research who is the best copywriter in Australia, and probably find Anthony then. I really have the time to focus here, and this special moment needs to be leveraged. When it comes to page one, or to the special moment, really Google is the one who owns it. We have other search engines, but really if you want to do SEO, unless you're in China, probably you need to mostly worry about Google. What we see here is a graphic visualization about the click-through rates based on the position you get on page one, so that we understand that it's a very big difference whether you are ranking number 1 or number 10 here. And you can see even number 9 gets more clicks according to this study done by backlinko.com than number 10. Number 9 gets less clicks than number 10 because towards the end people try to apparently focus a little bit more again. In general, and this is the rule of thumb we are usually working with, we say every position you gain on page 1 gives you like a 30% approximately boost in traffic. I've got clients that can tell me exactly, plus minus a 5% or so, how much money they are going to make based on the position they have this day on Google on page 1. So they know, is it a page 3, is it a page 5, is it a page number 3, number 5, number 7, based on the revenue they are making. They know exactly what the ranking was, because it's just such a big difference on which position you come on. So the first goal obviously is to get to page 1. There is a saying that says the best place to hide a dead body is page 2 of Google, because nobody is going to look there. And this is true in most cases. We know some users are really just for always checking as a habit the first few pages of Google, but this is a very diminishing minority. Most users are going to check the first top 5 results probably. We also have other components on Google. We've got people also asked sections where you can drop down the questions and stuff like that. Most people are going to focus on what's on top of Google. And it's also interesting, there are studies out there that say people really trust Google, and they trust the sites Google present, which then in turn requires Google to spend a lot of effort, money, resources in making sure that those rankings are really trustworthy. They have authority. They are created by experts in the field and stuff like that. Okay, so for now, we need to know search does make sense because it covers a very special moment of people's lives, of your potential clients' lives. Page 1 is a must, otherwise it's not going to impact traffic. And then on page 1, every position gives you like a 30% boost, and number 1 probably gives you like a 30% click-through rate approximately. Okay. The number 1 tool, and we always get talked about tools, and we're going to show you a couple of them today. Number 1 tool is still Google, because what we need to understand is that Google wants to make users happy. Okay, and Google is where they are because they were the search engine that first focused on this only goal. So if you imagine search engines 15 or probably 20 years ago already, the first search engines, Alta Vista, Lycos, however they were called, they were full of ads, full of links. You hardly could find anything. It was a very weird world back then. And then Google came out and said, okay, it's enough if there is a search box, because people came here to search. And then we can show them ads that really are important to them based on their search. This was revolutionary. But with this came a focus and complete focus on user experience. So we can think about Google however we want. They're a big, greedy giant. They only want to make money. They want all our data. They probably sell it. They probably leverage it to manipulate us, whatever. I don't even disagree with all these things. What we need to see is that Google cares about their users in order to make sure they come back again tomorrow and perform another search. So if I want to rank for something with my website, I need to make sure that Google users, if Google sends me traffic, Google users are going to be happy. Because otherwise, Google is not going to show them my site. And Google gets a very good idea about when users are happy and when they are not happy. Imagine just performing a search. You click on a search result. No, you don't like it. Go back. Click on another one. No, you don't like it. Click back. Go on another result, or even page 2 sometimes if you can't find anything. This really gives a lot of signals to Google. Google knows that there is a user not happy with the search result they got. And at scale, with thousands and thousands of searches they monitor, they can then figure out which pages seem to make users happy for certain search queries in certain situations, and taking into account probably 500 more characteristics, 500 more factors, and then can determine, okay, let's move this result a little bit down because it didn't make users so happy, but this one on page 2, apparently whenever someone lands on this result, they never come back. They seem to have found what they're looking for, so let's put this up a little bit. Google uses behavioral metrics in order to determine, among other factors, which page should be ranking high. The conclusion of all this is that very often people come to my agency and say, look, I've got this result. Why am I not ranking on page 1? Okay. And very often the first thing I do is I open Google, perform the search, and then check the top 10 results coming up. And then I define where's the gap between what this client has on their page and what Google wants to rank. Very often there is a big difference, be it usability, be it design, be it site speed, be it content, content depth, content structure, the user experience on the site. Are there JavaScript errors popping up? Is there an HTTPS issue? There can be a lot of things. And in order to rank on page 1, there is a lot of buckets you need to fill, right? So there is a bucket for speed, there is a bucket for content, there's a bucket for structure, there's a bucket for links, there's a bucket for I don't know, topics you're tackling and stuff like that. There might be 200 buckets, and you need to fill a lot of them in order to be eligible these days for a page 1 ranking. This wasn't the same 10 years ago or 5 years ago, where you still could rank just because you were talking in an interesting way about a topic. Today, you need to really match what is ranking there, and even maybe find a way to make it a little bit better or stand out of the crowd so Google can see there's additional value on your site in order to really earn this page 1 ranking. A tool I want to mention here, and this is free. If you don't have it, please take a look. This is free to sign up. You just have to authenticate your website. Is Google Search Console. And this tool is important. There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube about this, and we're not going to go into detail here, but it gives you a lot of information about how many impressions your site gets on Google for which search queries, for which URLs. So you get an idea about how often you do come up in search, because most people only check their analytics and say, okay, maybe even go down to the organic channel to see what comes from search engines. But they never check Google and say, okay, how often Google really does show me on their site? How often do people see my search result? How often do people see certain URLs I want to get traffic to? Because this very often gives you additional conclusions. Okay. If we want to attract traffic from Google, we need to write about things people are searching for. Okay, and this is where the search volume comes back again. If I want to attract traffic to my SEO agency, I need to write about things people who are considering SEO services or SEO as a pillar on their online marketing strategy might be searching for. So this could be SEO return on investment, or SEO for Shopify stores, SEO for WordPress sites, or SEO for a podcast. All these could be searches from my target audience, for example, that they perform. So we have a content process going, and eventually we are going to tackle all those topics. What we need to do is called a keyword research. Okay. For keyword research, there are free tools out there. I think I've got a couple here you can use. And then I'm going to give you a paid tool. I'll tell you about a paid tool I would recommend if you take SEO seriously. So one of these tools is Suvel.com. This Suvel.com is going to query quite a few sites. So this could be a one-stop shop if you're looking for a free solution. And this just gives you all the variants. So I've tried here, I'm not sure if you can read this on the screen. I just put in brown shoes, and Zufel is then going to query Yahoo and Bing and Overstock and Wikipedia, I think, and answers.com and eBay, and finds variations about how people search for brown shoes. So then I can cherry pick and say, okay, I want to create content. I want to sell brown shoes, but I know people are searching for brown shoes with navy suit. So I could create a piece of content around this if I think this could be my target audience performing these shoes. Okay, or brown shoes, please search brown shoes for women, heels, or brown shoes for toddler boys. You can see that the variants people use of this main keyword are then also identifying their situation a little bit. If someone searches for brown shoes for toddlers, they might be maybe recent parents, and they might even be interested in other products. So you get a little bit of an idea what this market might be about, and you can then pick search queries that come up that might fit with your target audience. Another interesting tool, which is free as well, is called answerthepublic.com, where the tool gives you a lot of questions people ask about the topic. So I've got my brown shoes again as the seed keyword or initial keyword I put in there. And then you can find a lot of questions people ask on Google. So what color goes with brown shoes, for example, or what color shoes, brown pants, for example, is the exact search query, or what brown shoes to wear with jeans. Okay, all these are search queries. And one of the first things you can do in SEO, if you have experience in your industry, is to answer questions. I've got a client I started with, I think in 2010 or 2011. We did web design back then and web programming and stuff like that. And we created a website. I didn't even officially know about inbound marketing and what was the idea of inbound marketing. But I was like just suggesting him and say, look, all these questions you get asked in your sales department all the time. Why don't you write all these questions and then answer on it on the blog? And people might be searching for those things online as well. This client until today still gets leads for free from posts we created in 2011 answering questions from their clients. So the more you know about the industry, the more you're able to figure out what are questions people are asking all the time. And ranking for questions is very often very easy, and as long as you have a very good answer to them. Okay, so focusing on questions can be a very good tip here. Another tool you can use, which is free from Neil Patel, who is a very big name in the online marketing space and especially in SEO, is ubersuggest.com. And this gives you a lot of information. Okay, there's videos out there that explain you exactly what the different parts are. I recommend you sign up if you use this tool because it gives you additional data. What I like about this tool is, and you can see this here on the right-hand side, it's going to give you, I'm not exactly sure how they pull this data together, but it's going to give you an age range about the search keyword. This is the only reason why I personally use it, because we've got paid tools to do this. But I like the age range. So you put in a keyword and you say brown shoes is mostly searched by, and then you find the age bracket and get an idea about your target market and can get to know your target market a little bit better. Okay. The tool we use and which I really recommend is Ahrefs. This is, if you can get just one tool and pay for it, I think it's $60, $70 in the standard subscription per month, which is out of reach for many people. If you can afford it, can afford one tool, I would suggest you get Ahrefs because it's very complete. Okay, it gives you a lot of things. They have got a lot of material. They've got free courses out there you can do where they teach you about content marketing and using this tool. Essentially, when I met Anthony the first time, it was in Sydney, where the CMO of Ahrefs even gave a presentation about how they have been growing, and they have been growing exactly the way we all want to grow, which is content based on content marketing, creating targeted content for our target audience. So this tool is what we are going to use today to do a keyword research, but this tool does a lot more. You can do competitive keywords research. You can analyze sites, you can analyze topics for social media purposes and stuff like that. I'm not affiliated with this tool at all, unfortunately, because I recommend it all the time and many of my clients ended up purchasing it. But it's just the best tool out there you can get for SEO purposes. Okay. SEO is an ongoing +1 game. And what this means is that everybody on page 1 is always going to try to make something a little bit better in order to increase their rankings or maintain their rankings if they're ranking well already. So creating a very good piece of content doesn't mean that it's a set and forget and it's always going to be there, because there's the entire world is competing on Google for the user's attention. Okay, they have this special moment. They have this moment where they check out search results, and everybody wants to leverage this attention for their business. So you need to do this consistently. And consistency is probably the only secret sauce that's out there, because everything else you can really learn and have someone help you. We do recommend you get an external consultant, because we just see that it's hard to keep the momentum going and the consistency in the right way if you don't have someone dedicated to this externally from your company, who is not depending on whether you have a lot of calls or whether you have a lot of things going on. But it is an ongoing game. You need to constantly see what does Google do with your rankings. What, after an algorithm update, especially like we had in May, for example, a big one, everybody was checking out what's happening now on Google. What is it now that Google thinks users want to see and what makes users happy? And this shifts over time. So I remember a couple of years ago, for example, we had this, probably 3 years maybe already, we had this trend where every page started with a very big slider image or full size video or whatever, and you had to scroll down in order to see if there was content down there, or you had to do the navigation. And then this shifted. So people were not as happy with this anymore. People today want to see their answer, or at least a confirmation that this page is going to give them their answer right away when they land on their page. And this is one of the suggestions we give to our clients. And also, if you check out your website and have a page maybe that's not doing so well on Google, check out how fast do you come to the point. Because very often we see on pages a very conversational opening where we say, hey, I understand you're looking for SEO for a Shopify site. Shopify is really a great tool, so it's probably one of the best tools out there. I had a Shopify site myself, and it was doing very well. It was very quick to set this up, blah, 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 2 paragraphs, and then we go to the topic. People do not have so much patience. People are going to open up their page. They probably give you 2 seconds or 3 in order to make sure that you have your design is nice, the site looks serious, its usability is good, it's loading fast, and you're giving them the information that this is what they were looking for. Otherwise, they head back to Google and click on another result. It's just the way it is. People are not going to read the article in order to figure out what is happening on this page. And I think I read this on your site, Anthony, that people read like 25-30% of the text. Is this correct?
Yep, that's right.
This was very, very interesting, because I hadn't seen this study before, this number before. But if you think about people really only reading a quarter of the page, this doesn't mean it doesn't pay off to spend time writing or have someone professionally writing a good article, because your potential clients really probably read the entire text. The thing is that people, in order to make a decision, are skimming the text. They check subheadlines, they check words that are in bold, they check infographics that might be on the page. They do not spend enough time to really read the entire article, where you might come to the point in the middle. So Google is an ongoing +1 game, meaning we always need to see what does Google want to rank now. And ranking drops usually indicate that we are not exactly giving users what they might be looking for. Okay, so Google collects those signals and then just lowers our ranking. So we need to see what else we can do in order to come back up. I want to transition into a hands-on 3-step process. Not sure, Anthony, do you think we should maybe see if there are some questions before that?
No, I think let's get into the process. We'll do the questions afterwards.
Perfect.
This will probably answer some questions anyway.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap up. Yeah.
Sounds good. So I would like to show you a 3-step process in order to get to a point where you then can refine and your article and spend time or have someone create this article. First of all, we're going to do a keyword research. I'm personally very much into woodworking, especially woodworking tools. I probably have more tools than I do woodworking, just like probably some addiction of mine. So we're going to do this for woodworking tools. Imagine we are selling woodworking tools, or we have a woodworking site, and we know our audience searches for woodworking tools, and we want to present a piece of content around this topic. Okay, we're going to do a keyword research. we're going to see how can we go about content creation, and then we are going to talk about how we could optimize this content in order to give it a better shot at ranking for woodworking tools. Okay, so I'm going to close this presentation and head over to my favorite tool, Ahrefs. And Ahrefs, let me just show you the tool. When you log in to Ahrefs, you get they have a free version, by the way, and they just launched this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. So if you check this out, you can now authenticate your website and get some information even for free. I forgot this before. Okay, so check this out. This is definitely worth it. You just have to authenticate your Google Search Console, I think, with Ahrefs, and then they are going to give you some data. And I think they also allow you to crawl your site and get some information. So that's definitely worth it. Ahrefs has an option that's called the Keywords Explorer. Okay, and this is our tool for keyword research. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell Ahrefs, look, I want to know keywords relevant for Google in the United States for woodworking tools.
Gert, is there any way you can actually zoom in on that screen? It's a bit small.
Okay. This
yeah,
way
that's better.
better?
Yeah, that's better. That's cool. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks for the feedback. So I'm interested in woodworking tools. I selected Google, going to hit search. And this gives me a lot of information. This might be overwhelming. I'm not going into detail on everything, but there are a few things that are interesting here. This is the volume. So 38,000 searches are performed in the United States every month for woodworking tools. Imagine I get 1% of those to my site just for this single term. This would be amazing. Okay. It gives me a keyword difficulty, however, and I need to talk with the CMO about this. Very often, this is very misleading. Okay, so this doesn't mean it's relatively easy to rank for woodworking tools, because we are going to see who is ranking for woodworking tools, and this is very big brands, and it's not hard to compete with those. Okay, so my suggestion, if you use Ahrefs, is ignore this for the moment, because very often it's misleading. Okay, but we want to know that 38,000 searches are performed for woodworking tools. 38,000 searches is quite a lot on Google. And we then want to check out a little bit how page one really goes. We've got a lot of graphics here. You can see how different positions on page one have been evolving over time. You see there's quite a different. There is a competitor, that's yorksaw.com, for example, coming up in the last months more and more and competing now very stable on page 6, on number 6, and they were on number 73, which is page 8 on Google in April. And you can see the evolution here of what's happening. And this gives you an idea about whether Google shifts a lot here, if there is room to get in there, or if it's really a stable positions, like very, very big marketing terms, for example, have very stable positions. There's a very little shifting in. There's hardly any newcomers getting into the top 10. And this is a very important information for us, because we need to pick our battles well. What this means is that we might not be able to compete for every single term we want to rank for, but find like a different angle or a more specific version of this term and rank for that one. And we're going to see this here when we check out the top 10 ranking sites. You can see Home Depot is a very big brand internationally, I think. Rockler.com, all these are very, very big brands. We then have a few smaller sites, but we can also check out how many backlinks did they get. And backlinks from other sites, didn't mention this before, but backlinks, meaning links from other sites pointing to this page, is a very important signal that shows Google that this page is relevant. And we can get an idea how many pages link to those results and somehow justify why they are ranking where they are ranking. And with one exception, it's quite a few links on most results that point to this page. So if I want to compete with this one, for example, I might need to get like 60 links pointing to it, which is not easy these days. So it's not really that easy as the keyword difficulty on top suggested before. So probably would decide in this case that I might go a little bit more specific and see if there is an easier way to rank. So let's say essential woodworking tools. Okay. Essential woodworking tools, we can see the difficulty went lower a little bit. We're only dealing with a search volume of 900, but this might just be enough if I really can get a page 1 ranking. So I can scroll down again. I can see there's quite a few shifts going on, ups and downs. So Google mixes this quite a bit. And then I can check this out and say, okay, I've got now sites with 11, with 4 backlinks. There's 2 at least that have a very low backlink count. And I can see another thing, which is called a domain rating. And the domain rating overall gives me an idea of how strong those brands are in most cases. So if my brand, depending on how strong my brand is, about how my domain rating is, and you can figure this out with Ahrefs, you can then say, okay, if my domain rating was 30, for example, I could probably compete with this one. I could probably compete with this one. I might not be able to compete with woodmagazine.com and bobvilla.com. So these are probably out of reach, but I should be able to get like a number 6, number 7 position, most likely. Okay. So with this information, if I'm then happy and confident that I can get a page 1 ranking here for this term, I would then continue my research. Okay, and there, Ahrefs gives us quite a few tools here and quite a few options. So I can find, for example, I really like the phrase match, where Ahrefs is going to use this phrase and give us additional suggestions on how this phrase comes up with different search volumes. What we need to understand is that if we rank for essential woodworking tools, we are probably going to rank for a lot of other terms as well, and variations and familiar terms and related topics and stuff like that. So we can see, okay, in which directions could we go with our content. We could have tools for beginners, and I'm going to make a note of those while I figure out those topics. Just this is my document where I then want to write my content. Essential woodworking tools for beginners. It's a very interesting topic I definitely want to tackle in a paragraph, for example. Essential woodworking tools for your shop. Can probably also just paste this in there. For a home workshop, this is also a different angle. This might be either in my article or might be even a subject to a completely different article at some point, if I feel this has enough content or enough potential in order to rank on its own. And we can then check out what we can do here. Here is an interesting one. If you're into woodworking, you might have come across Paul Seller, who is a very famous woodworking guru or YouTuber, and he's very known. So if I want to mention him, maybe this could be interesting for me. Essentially woodworking tools for timber, tools list, stuff like that. So I think I'm probably going to with the tools list in order to offer this as a PDF to download or something like this on the article. So this already gives me a little bit of an idea. But then I also can check, okay, pages that rank for this term on Google, what do they also rank for? I'm sorry, this one. What do those pages also rank for? Because there might be very relevant terms I want to go down as well. So those sites also rank for woodworking tools, woodworking projects. This is an important one. Everybody into woodworking wants to find projects they can build or weekend projects or something like this. Woodworkers hardware, carpenter tools, best tools. So into tools, you can probably go into a professional level as well. We're talking about essential, but we can probably at least have a paragraph and talk about professional tools. We've got cool woodworking projects, which could be interesting. Hand tools, this is an important one because we talk about hand tools and we talk about power tools as well. So I'm just really making a note of this. This is a process that can take a while, and I would really recommend you spend the time figuring out these different versions, because it gives you an idea what your target audience might be searching for. And you can always also check the volume and say, okay, for carpenter tools, there are 3,000 searches only for carpenter tools in the United States every month. Okay, so we definitely want to notice there is also a global search estimate, so you get an idea about how many global searches we have if you're talking about a global brand here. And then can also check out some search suggestions, questions coming up, etc., that give you additional. We have the power tools here I was mentioning before. We've got Paul Sellers again as a name here when it comes to woodworking tools. And then we also can filter sometimes There are some questions here. We don't have questions, but if it only was woodworking tools, probably there might be some questions. So where to buy woodworking tools, what tools do I need for woodworking, etc. And this could just be sub paragraphs, right? Where to buy woodworking tools could just be a sub paragraph on my article, maybe. Okay, so there are different options here in order to get more keywords. We can see having the same terms, so where it only essentially breaks this up. Essential woodworking tools, and very often you can also perform a search for important woodworking tools, for example, instead of essential or basic woodworking tools. Most important woodworking tools could be interesting as well in order to target this and stuff like that. So we have a pretty good idea how our people are probably searching and can then start to line up an article. But before that, I want to introduce you to a second tool. So if you can get one, get Ahrefs. If you can get two, check out surferseo.com. Surferseo.com, I'm not exactly sure about, I think it was between $60, $80 a month in the basic subscription, if I remember this correctly. This is a very good competitive analysis tool. And this really, when they launched this tool, I was one of the first people to jump on it, because we usually did this process manually. So what I would do a few years back was that I would put out pen and paper or a Word document and go through all the top ranking sites, probably even the top 20, and make notes which topics they were talking about, in which order they were talking about those topics, how much emphasis they put on certain topics, in order to find out what apparently it is that Google wants to rank. Okay. Today we've got Surfer SEO, and Surfer SEO automates this process. So they are able to analyze the top competitors, check out what they talk about, check out the questions they deal with, check out how long their articles are, and a lot of other options. Okay, so here, for example, I've prepared, because this takes a few minutes, a research SERP analysis, as they call it. SERP is the search engine result page. SERP analyzer checks the result pages for essential woodworking tools, and this gives me a lot of information. But for example, if I just check out, these are the top ranking sites, and then I can check out keywords, and it's going to give me a list of important keywords, and I can complement this. For me, this doesn't substitute what we did before. It just extends it. So you want to do research on multiple ends in order to come up with the best versions, really, of keywords, and the best collection of keywords. It comes up with questions people ask around woodworking that might fit into my content. So you always, even if you have machine learning tools like this one, you always need like a personal human criteria when it comes to assessing how to create your article and what to put in there. But you can see what are popular words, for example. This is 30 words that come up all the time on most articles, for example, or popular phrases as well, common words. You can go through the options and get a very good idea what you might want to talk about. And if you compare this to a traditional approach where you would ask a copywriter, or maybe do it yourself and say, okay, I'm going to write today an article about essential woodworking tools. This might end up as something very interesting, but completely different from what Google wants to rank. And this is a thing we see very often with sites that have been creating content over years, just to then see that this content doesn't rank at all. Why? Because it wasn't created with the intent to rank. So for me, it's a difference between creating content in order to have it somewhere on the blog or share it on social media, and it's going to be interesting. People are going to like it, engage with it, and all that's fine. But if you want to attract traffic from search engines with a piece of content, you need to play again according to the rules of the search engines. And this really means doing your research. What do they want to rank? And then produce something that is eligible for a page 1 ranking in Google's eyes. For example, if Google is the search engine we are trying to rank in. Okay, so there's a very big difference, and the big difference is really in a lot of research. It's very hard to get it right for SEO if you don't do the research on Google first. Another thing, once we have all this outlined, is that we can use another option or feature from Surfer SEO, which is the content editor. So the content editor is really an editor, you can copy and paste your article here. And what it's going to do is, in real time, it's going to compare this article you're writing here with top ranking sites and show you where the gap is. So if you remember, initially we said we want to make Google happy. If a page doesn't rank, we need to define what's the gap between what your article has and what top ranking articles have in terms of content and structure and length and stuff like that. This gap is really what Surfer SEO puts in front of you here in real time. So you can see, for example, where it says the length, we've got 9 words and we need 2,378 as an average. Okay, this doesn't mean I couldn't rank with 800 words, because there might be articles ranking with 800 words, but you definitely want to be in line in length with top ranking websites and at least get to the average of the length of those articles, because some rankings might just be there because of the strong brand. I've got a client afterwards on a consulting call where they compete with Britannica, for example, and Britannica has just such a strong brand, they can have a one-line response and they're still going to rank. So ideally, you compare yourself with other similar sites in a similar situation or similar brand importance, and then see what's the length there. I usually try to get to the average, okay? And then in real time, this tool is going to show me, if I mention, there are a lot of tools in woodworking. It's going to mark this in green because I've mentioned it once and it should be mentioned once according to the top research. Essential should be mentioned 5 times. I only have it once. So you can see that you can in real time create your article here and get automatically feedback about the difference. There might be things in here that you don't think are relevant for your article or for your audience in this case, and then you need to make a decision and say, okay, should I still put it in there because everybody else deals with this topic, or do I decide not to put it in there for the moment and see if I can still rank without it? Okay, but this is just it's a dumb machine learning tool, as I usually say. So you need to add your best judgment here and see what you can make out of it. But if it's essential woodworking tools and you don't talk about table saws or a sander or I don't know, or a drill, it's probably your article might be missing something here. Okay, you also get a little bit of additional suggestions here, and I want to come to an end so we can tackle some questions. But this is like the process you would go about. So you would create this article based on the research, based on the keywords, based on the topics you can see top ranking sites have. And then once this article is done, you probably would illustrate it and then put it on the blog. And then the only thing that's really missing is that an article on the blog without any links or social feedback, or ideally both, is going to have a very hard time ranking, because it's really the links these days still that make sure that Google knows that this article has relevance in a certain space. So you would then go out and try to get links from sites relevant for the woodworking space, and see if you can get links from their sites to this article, because this is going to clearly show Google that this article is going to be relevant. And this is where the backlinks come in, where we want to see how many links top ranking sites get, and also get like an average of their links in order to rank. Okay, so this is the hands-on thing I wanted to show you. So we've got the keyword research. We create the article based on the analysis. We try to close the gaps between our article and the articles that are ranking. And this process makes sure that just for a start, the content you're producing has a relevant chance, or a real chance, to rank on Google, whereas a content that's produced without research on Google and without specific tools is going to have a very hard time ranking in a competitive space. Okay, if it's very, very niche specific and it's not essential woodworking tools, but it's essential woodworking tools for children that want to start with woodworking, it's probably so specific that there is no real research needed. As long as you have those words in your title and have a decent article and a decent website, it's going to rank. But it's not going to have any search volume. So you're not going, even if it ranks, you're not going to attract traffic. And nothing more frustrating in SEO than ranking #1 for a search result that doesn't get any traffic then. Okay. So thank you very much. Back to you, Anthony, and let's see if we can answer a few questions.
Love it. Love it. That was really awesome. So for those of you who are still on here, let Gert know what you thought of that presentation, maybe a thumbs up or just a comment, and sort of one takeaway you got from that session. Got a couple of questions based on what you just shared. Let's go to, okay, you just mentioned with that last piece around backlinks are important. And then you also said social feedback. What does social feedback mean?
Today, if we think that links are important, links are like, we call links votes of confidence. Okay, I didn't want to go into link building because it would be a presentation on its own. But we can, if we think that a link is a vote of confidence, meaning a website expressing its confidence towards another website in a certain context, we want to make sure that we understand that these days, thank you, Stevie, these days we are not going to get links before anything happens on social media. So it would be very rare to get a link to my page, to an article I have, without any social media sharing or commenting or something like this going on before. So what we don't want to do in SEO, we need to face it. With SEO, we try to manipulate Google, right? Let's face it, right? There's nothing, Google knows there is SEO. Google gives SEOs even tips on how to approach ranking a website. So there's nothing illegal per se. You can do some stuff that's against their guidelines, but if you can get pretty far without violating those, we need to see that for Google, we want to avoid raising red flags, right? So links per se, if you build links with the intention of ranking, it would be a manipulation of Google. Google doesn't like. So Google is going to try to figure out if there is any red flag about your links. And getting links, for example, before there was some social media buzz going around on about your article is going to be very unrealistic. Okay, so I'm not going to attract links before I attract social shares. It's just not going to happen. So what we need to make sure, and that this can be with ads, this can be with, there are crowdsourcing platforms where you can get people to share your content and stuff like that. You might be influential enough and your audience is already sharing it anyway, but you want to have some social signals happening or some social feedback, some social media activity and engagement with this content before you start creating links, just because it's the natural flow of things.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so I've got a question here from Stevie, and Stevie's asking, can you talk a bit more about the structure of web pages? You mentioned header images. Should people ditch the header image and have a large descriptive headline instead?
It's a great question. What we see on sites recently is that people don't like to have to scroll down in order to see if they're on the right page. It's just too much effort. We're getting very lazy, and especially on my phone, I'm not going to scroll down and say, is this really the site I was looking for? No, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to hit back and click on the next result because I'm so busy. I have no time for everything. It's just the way it is these days. Okay, so whatever you have on top, we call this above the fold, meaning before you start scrolling, is what needs to make sure that people know they're on the right page. Okay, and with a header image, very often it's very difficult to do. So I probably suggest people shrink the header a little bit. The design might just require it and it looks nice and stuff like that. It's all fine. But you want to make sure that before I scroll, I already know that I'm on the right page. So if you're targeting essential woodworking tools and you don't talk about this topic above the fold, I'm not going to scroll down to see if the rest of the article is going to mention it or not. Okay, so it depends on your site. I'm personally not a big fan, and I've been seeing a lot of sites doing much better when they put content first and the right confirmation and answer people are looking for right at the top.
Okay, so just to recap what you said, so it's okay to have the header image, but you want to shrink the height of it. So then you pretty much answer the question that people are looking for the answer for.
At least give a confirmation that this page is going to answer the question. Yeah. Okay, so if I just had a client in the Korean language space, and there are apparently multiple ways of how to say thank you in Korean, and a formal way and an informal way and stuff like that. If you tell me on the top that there are multiple ways of saying thank you, and we're going to show every single one of them, that's a confirmation that this article is going to help me. And then I can scroll down and find my answer.
Okay, Serkan's asking, related to this question, how about if you put the text, including the keyword, in the header image?
I'm not so worried about the keyword here on the header image rather than the confirmation for the user. So if the keyword might not be enough for the user to make sure they are on the right page. Okay, so also we need to see the keyword depends on how you put it. Do you put it in a layer on top of the image on the website so Google can easily read it if it's encrusted in the image and embedded in a JPEG? For Google, it's not as easy to read it anymore. And also we were more worried about the users. Users need to see that they are on the right page, depending on what we call the search intent. And this is really the reason why they performed the search in the first place. The search intent might be to find a comparison of woodworking tools. The search intent might be to purchase a woodworking tool. The search intent might be to know which tools famous woodworkers are using, stuff like that. So we need, whatever the search intent is, we need to confirm that this page is going to answer this search intent or respond to it. Otherwise, we're going to have a very high bounce rate on analytics, meaning people coming to the site and jumping off.
Yeah, I think, to address that, what I typically do from putting my copywriter hat on here, the first paragraph should really address that search intent, right? So it should say, if you're here looking for, tips on the best woodworking tools, you're in the right place, right? And you can really just address that with a sentence.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, great. So Stevie's got another question. I love these questions, by the way. Thanks for popping them in. Stevie's asking, okay, can you talk about the SEO value of pages versus posts? Which are
very good and very common question. I'm personally more a fan of pages because most sites are using WordPress. So probably you might also be using WordPress here. Pages on WordPress give you the chance to define what is a superior page or the parent page, which then influences the URL structure. You have a mydomain.com/tools/essential, for example, and you can only do this with pages. With posts, I think there are plugins that do this on WordPress, but it's going to probably make WordPress explode at some point. If you just go with pages, if you want to rank something high, it's probably going to give you additional ways to then structure the overall content. So what we do with our clients is we lay out a content map, really, and say, okay, this is the main pillar page about woodworking tools, and this has a supporting page that says essential or basic tools, and this is an advanced tools articles, and this is a Paul Sellers woodworking tools articles. Okay, so we then map this out to the structure on a spreadsheet, really, and try to implement this structure on the site. And the way to implement this is both with links on the one hand, on how you link those together, and second, with the URL structure, because the pillar page is going to come right after the first slash, and then I would have /tools/beginner, /tools/advanced, /tools/Paul Sellers, and this only works with pages. With posts can be interesting if you have a site with a lot of engagement and a lot of comments. This is like social proof for Google, and this tells Google, look, apparently people really like those comments. I like this article, they comment a lot, etc. So if you have a page that does very well with posts, I think posts are perfectly fine. The thing with posts is that categories are not ideal for rankings. Okay, so when people say, okay, I just group up 28 posts about the same topic in a category and try to rank for the overall term for this category, it's not going to be easy because the category is only going to be a list of posts. Whereas on a pillar article, you would have the possibility to optimize the entire article and then directly link to individual posts or pages from this pillar article. So my personal favorite is pages because it gives you more flexibility. If you have a lot of engagement on your site, posts can be a very good option.
Okay, thank you for that answer. So I'm going to respect Gert's time. He's got a meeting to jump on very shortly. So we're going to wrap up. Now, before we go, I wanted to thank everyone who attended today. And if you're watching the replay, please type replay and let us know, because that actually helps with the whole Facebook algorithm, which is a different conversation. But then we also, if you have questions for Gert, please throw them in the comments, and then Gert will come back and I'll pass them on to him and he can answer them. Sure. Now, let's share one thing that is very exciting. Gert has just launched his new book. It's called the Erica Framework. What does Erica stand for?
Appreciate this. It's Evolution, Research, Interlinking, Content, and Action Steps. This is the framework we work with clients on ongoing consulting, where we just make sure based on this framework, then we tackle all the important things on an ongoing basis. Thank you so much. That's great.
Amazing. And he's basically answered a lot of these questions that are probably in your head. So go check it out. It's about $4 if you know, Australian dollars right now. And that's probably going to go up to about $1 million.
Appreciate it. I want to mention, I also have this book is on Amazon, but you can get it for free on my website. If you go to seoleverage.com, you can download it for free there. There is a menu item that says my book, and you can get it for free there. If you want to purchase it, please go ahead. There's also a paperback version now available, I think, but you can get it for free on the website directly, SEO Leverage without the D at the end. Don't try. I might get this domain, by the way. Leverage.com. You can get the book for free, or you can head over to Amazon and get it there.
Amazing. So it's SEOleverage.com. Connect with Gert. He's also one of the services that he and his team offers is a site. It's a SEO audit, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Where we just audit the site, see what the situation is, what's the usefulness of the URLs we have, because what we really see very often is that we have like tons and tons of content. Maybe I've seen pages with 1,500 articles and only 200 were really driving traffic. So everything else is like dead weight on the website. You can probably essentially either get rid of or repurpose or restructure the site to leverage this content you built 5 years ago, 10 years ago that's not ranking anymore.
Sorry, it seems like I froze because I'm trying to work with this tool. I'm just going to share one thing for those who are listening to this. I'm just going to give you a sneak preview of next week's guest. So let me just share quickly. Where the hell is it? It's here. So you should be able to see this on the screen right now. Okay, so we have Caroline Bruni from Organize, Curate, and Design talking about, let's hide that for a second, how to outsource life admin and better manage your mental load. So that's the hot topic that's coming next week. If you want to join us, please follow my page. And if you're not already in the group, you can join our Authentic Influence group and just head over to simplecreativemarketing.com/warriors. You'll find Gert in there, as well as a whole bunch of really awesome people, and we will connect with you there. And thanks again for joining us. Gert, you've been amazing today.
Thank you so much.
And just, I'm sure everyone's got a ton of value from what you've shown.
So
that's it. Thanks, man, and enjoy the rest of your night meeting, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for coming.